Okay, welcome back to another thought today, and going to be reading The Man Who Loved Flowers by Stephen King. And then once I've read that one, I'll be doing the next video after that one will be on my thoughts on Werewolves Within. So this take either 1 day, or 2 days, or how many days, and that'd be boom, boom, pow. Okay, okay, let's begin. Again, like always, I'll be sending you the link to where I got to read this on the description, so you can read along if you wish. This is A Man Who Loved Flowers from Stephen King's. Let me check. I think it was like. Let me quickly check. It's from Night Shift. So no, no, not for nine. No, 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 not the movie with the. God damn it! No, Stephen King. Willy nilly. Stephen King, Night Shift. This is from 1978. Okay, so Manuela Flowers. Let's begin. On an early evening in May of 1963, a young man with his hand in his pocket walked briskly up New York's Third Avenue. The air was soft and beautiful. The sky was darkening by slow degrees from blue to the calm and lovely violet of dusk. There are people who love the city, and this was one of the nights that made them love it. Everyone standing in the doorways of delicatessens and dry cleaning shops and restaurants seemed to be smiling. An old lady pushing two bags of groceries and an old baby pram grinned at the young man and held him. Hey, beautiful. The young man gave her a half smile and raised a hand in a wave. She passed it away thinking, he's in love. He had no luck about him. He was dressed in a light grey suit, the narrow tie pulled down a little, his top collar button undone. His hair was dark and cut short, his complexion was fair, his eyes a light blue. Not an extraordinary face, but on the soft spring evening, on this avenue, in May of 1963, he was beautiful, and the old woman found herself thinking with a moment's sweet nostalgia that in spring anyone can be beautiful. If they're hurrying to leave for one of their dreams for dinner and maybe dancing after. Spring is the only season when nostalgia never seems to turn bitter, and she went on her way glad as she spoken to him, and glad he had returned the compliment of raising his hand in half salute. The young man crossed 63rd Street, walking with a bounce in his step, and a same half smile on his lips. Partway up the block, an old man stood beside a chipped green handcart filled with flowers. The predominant colour was yellow, a yellow fever of jonquils and late crocuses. The old man also had carnations and a few hothouse tea roses, mostly yellow and white. He was eating a pretzel and listening to a bulky transistor radio sitting kitty corner in his handcart. The radio poured out bad news that no one listened to. A hammer murderer was still on the loose. JFK declared a situation in a little Asian country called Vietnam. Vietnam, the guy reading the news called it, with bear watching. An unidentified woman had been pulled to the East River. Grand jury failed to indict crime overlord of current demonstration on heroin. The Russians had exploded a nuclear device. None of it seemed real. None of it really seemed to matter. The air was soft and sweet. Two men with beer bellies stood outside a bakery, pitching nickels and ripping each other. Spring trembled on the edge of summer. And in the city, summer is the season of dreams. The young man passed the flower stand, and the sound of the bad news faded. He hesitated, looked over his shoulder, and thought it over. He reached into his coat pocket and touched for something in there again. For a moment, his face seemed puzzled, lonely, almost haunted. And then, as his hand left the pocket, it regained its former expression of expectation. Turned back to the flower stand, smiling. He would bring her some flowers. That would please her. He loved to see her eyes light up with surprise and joy when he brought her surprise little things, because he's far from rich. A box of candy, a bracelet, once only a bag of Valencia oranges, because he knew they were Norma's favourite. My young friend, the flower vendor said, as a man in a grey suit came back amongst aisles of a stock and handcart. The vendor was maybe 68, wearing a torn grey knitted sweater and a soft cap in spite of the warmth of evening. His face was a map of wrinkles. His eyes were deep in pouches, and a cigarette jittered between his fingers. But he also remembered how it was to be young in the spring, young and so much in love that you practically zoomed everywhere. The vendor's face was normally sour, but now he smiled a little, just as the old one pushing the groceries had, because this guy was such an obvious case. He brushed pretzel crumbs from the front of his baggy sweater and thought, if this kid was sick, they'd have an intensive care right now. How much are your flowers? The young man asked. I'll make you a nice bouquet for $1. Those tea roses, the hothouse, cost a little more, 70 cents a piece, so half a dozen $3.50. Expensive, the young man said. Nothing good comes cheap, my young friend. Did your mother teach you that? The young man grinned. She might have mentioned it, that. Sure she did. I give you half a dozen, 2 red, 2 yellow, 2 white. Can't do no better than that, can I? Put on some baby's breath. You'd love that thousand fair. Nice. A bouquet for $1. Nay? The young man asked, still smiling. My young friend, the flower vendor said, flicking the cigarette butt in the gut and returning a smile. No one buys flowers for themselves in May. It's like a national law, you understand what I mean? The young man thought of Norma, a happy, surprised eyes and a gentle smile. He ducked a little. I guess I do that, he said. Sure you do. What do you say? Well, what do you think? I'm going to tell you what I think. Hey, advice is still free, isn't it? The young man smiled and said, I guess there's only thing left, it is. You're damn tuning it is, Flower Vendor said. Okay, my young friend, the flowers of your mother, get him a bouquet, a few junkers, a few crocuses, and leave valleys, you don't spoil them, saying, oh, Junior, love them, how much did it cost? Oh, it's too much, don't you know enough not to throw the money around? The young man threw his head back and laughed. The friend said, but if it's your girl, it's a thing, listen. You know it? You bring her tea roses so you don't turn into a cow. You take my meaning? Hey, she's going to throw her arms around your neck. I'll take the tea roses, the young man said. His time was a flower vendor's turn to laugh. The 2 men pitching nickels glanced over, smiling. Hey, kid, one of them called. Want to buy anything cheap? I'll say you're mine. I don't want to know more. The young man grinned and blushed to root in the dark air. The flower vendor picked out 6 tea roses, fizzed down a little, spritzed them with water, and wrapped them in a large conical spill. Tonight's weather looks just what you'd wanted, Radio said. Fair and mild, temps in the mid to upper 60s, perfect for rooftop stargazing. Romantic type, enjoy. Great in New York, enjoy. The flower vendor Scotch tape was the same of a paper spill and advised the young man to tell his lady. A little sugar added to the water she put him in, preserving him longer. I'll tell her, the young man said. Held out a $5 bill. Thank you. Just doing a job, my young friend, the vendor said, giving $1.75. Smile grew a bit. Give her a kiss for me. On the radio, the Four Seasons began singing Sherry. The young man pocketed his change, went on up the streets, eyes wide and alert and eager. But there was not so much around him now, the life ebbing and flowing up and down Fed Avenues, inward and ahead, anticipating. But certain things did impinge. A mother pulling a baby in a wagon, the baby's face comically smeared by a scream. A little girl jumping rope and sing-songing out rhyme. Betty and Henry up in a tree, K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes love, then comes marriage, here comes Henry in a baby carriage. 2 women stood outside a washateria, smoking and comparing pregnancies. A group of men were looking in a hardware store, window and a gigantic color TV with a 4-figure price tag. A baseball game was on and all the players' faces looked green. The playing field was a vague strawberry color, and the New York Mets leading for these by a score of 6-1 in the top of the 9th. He walked on, carrying the flowers, unaware that the 2 women outside washateria stopped talking for a moment and watched him wistfully as he walked by, his paper with tea roses. The days of receiving flowers are long over. He was unaware of a young traffic cop who stopped for cars in section of fence 69 for a blast and whistle of Southern Cross. The cop was engaged himself and recognized the dreamy expression of a young man's face in his own shaving mirror. I haven't seen it lately. He was unaware of the 2 teenage girls who passed him going where Wayne and clutched themselves and giggled. At 73rd Street, he stopped and turned right. The street was a little darker, lined with brownstones and walked down restaurants, vitality, names. 3 blocks down, a stickball game was going on with fading lights. The young man did not go that far. Half a block down, he turned to a narrow lane. Now the stars were out, gleaming softly, and the lane was dark and shadowy, lined with vague shapes of garbage cans. The young man was alone now. No, not quite. A wavering yell rose in the purple gloom, and the young man frowned. It was some tomcat's love song, and there was nothing pretty about that. He walked more slowly and glanced at his watch. It was 8:15, and Norma should be just. Then he saw her, coming towards him from the courtyard, wearing dark blue slacks and a sailor blouse that made his heart ache. It was always surprising if her first time. It was always a sweet shock. She looked so young. Now a smile shone out, radiated out, and he walked faster. Norma, he said. She looked up and smiled, but as they drew together, the smile faded. His own smile trembled a little. He felt a moment's disquiet. Her face of a shade of blouse suddenly seemed blurred. It was getting darker now. Could he have been mistaken? Surely not. It was Norma. I brought you flowers, he said, happy relief, handed papers still to her. She looked at them for a moment, smiled, handed them back. Thank you, but you're mistaken, she said. My name is Norma, he whispered, and pulled the short-handed hammer out of his coat pocket and along. Now for you, Norma. It was always for you. Oh, for you. She backed away, her face a round white blur, her mouth an opening black of terror, and she wasn't Norma. Norma was dead. She had been dead for 10 years, and it didn't matter because she was going to scream, and he swung the hammer to stop the scream, to kill the scream, and he swung the hammer. The spill of flowers fell out of his hand, the spill spilled and broke open, spilling red, white, and yellow tea roses beside the dented trash cans for the cats made angry love in the dark, screaming in love, screaming. He swung the hammer, and she didn't scream, but she might scream because she wasn't Norma. None of them were Norma. And he swung the hammer, swung the hammer, swung the hammer. She wasn't Norma. And so he swung the hammer as he had done 5 other times. Some unknown time later, he slipped the hammer back into his inner coat pocket and backed away from a dark shadow sprawled on the cobblestones, away from litter of tea roses by the garbage cans. He turned and left the narrow lane. It was full dark now. The stickball players had gone in. If there were bloodstains on the suit, they wouldn't show. Not in the dark, not in the soft, late spring dark. And her name had not been Norma, but he knew what his name was. It was Love. His name was Love, and he walked these dark streets because Norma was waiting for him, and he would find her someday soon. He began to smile. A bounce came into his step as he walked on down 71st Street. A middle-aged married couple sitting on the steps of the building watched him go by. Head cocked, eyes far away, half smile on his lips. When he passed by, the woman said, How come you never look that way anymore, huh? Nothing, she said. But she watched the young man in a grey suit disappear into the gloom of encroaching night, and thought, was anything more beautiful in springtime? It was young love. So that was The Man Who Brought Flowers. It's really cool reading something like this and having it done like one thing, because the previous two times been 15 minutes. Been like over 15 minutes, been 30 minutes apiece between the first one. And what I again is from the Night Save short story collection Night Shift by Stephen King. It's also one of the few short stories which I think you can pay like $1 or something, and you can make like your own like film adaptation of this. As long as it's for free, as long as you're not profiting off it. So you can actually pay to like $1 or so to get this. Okay, another one of his short stories, which is there. And as long as you don't intend to make money from it, you can like create like a short film, not profit adaptation. And I do like the plot twist of this one. It is about a man who um you think he's in love, but then he's a psychopathic serial killer. I also just like the fact of me being able to like do that one. So yeah, today's episode was a Stephen King short story. Tomorrow episode will be Werewolves Within. If anyone's watching this, I'll see you. No one's watching this, I'll see me. Anyway, it's been your thought today. Bye.